all that good stuff, After Effects.
Yep.
Yep.
Quiet on set. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I love the new intro. Looks
Well, welcome. Tonight we're going to have some fun. We spend a lot of time talking about Milford schools and the education we provide, the opportunities that Milford High graduates have. And it's always easy to pick on a system, to say it's not good enough, to say the kids aren't being prepared for the real world. Tonight we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about a real Milford High graduate who has gone forth and built a little business and having fun along the way. Let's start with an introduction.
Well, thanks for having me, Al. Alex Stulak. I graduated from Milford High in 2011. While there, I decided to take up a love of video production there, and it just kind of spawned from there. I took that full run. Loved everything about movies from day one. When I was little, I always watched them and wanted to know how to make them. So started to make them and develop them, and took that creativity and that passion and just ran with it to what I created, ICW Productions. And we build content development, video production, photography assets for businesses that help tell your story. So it's it allows us to be creative, have fun, and create marketing material for small businesses around the area. And it's been rocking and rolling, it's kicking. So
now your mother pulls you aside and says, well, Alex, you can either go start your own business or you can learn how to say, do you want fries with that order?
Pretty much. Yeah, it was funny. So I graduated from UMass Amherst, and the job market today is pretty scarce for graduates. And I had a communications degree with a certificate in film studies, so it's not necessarily the Harvard law degree that everyone's looking for, or something along those lines. So I applied to a few places, had a few interviews here and there, but nothing really hired me. 2 weeks afterwards, I'm sitting on the back deck, and my mother comes out with a family friend and is like, hey, listen, you had ICW Productions from previous projects in high school. It was a little hobby then. You can either take that and run with it, and I'll support you, and we'll go from there, rock and roll, or you can go get temporary job somewhere else and until we find a corporate position. And me being the stubborn person I am, decided to take the latter. So, and that's how ICW Productions came. The next day, I started a wire map of what kind of services we offer, what could I offer, what could I do.
Yeah, but wait a minute. That company or the concept, you started in high school.
Yes. So back in high school, I won the video production award for the senior class 2011. Recently after that, Lenny Marcone of Milford Community Use came to me and said, hey, Alex, can you, if we pay you, can you put together a little video for us so we can, this is right when video was just starting for business. No one really even knew the benefit of it for small business. But Lenny came to me and said, hey, can you put one together for us? So I spent the whole summer filming all the kids at the camp, the summer camp, and put together a nice video for them. While Joe B. Also had me do the senior slideshow. We did a video photo transition.
They make you film him while he was playing guitar?
I didn't film him while playing guitar. Actually, I used to come to his shows too, and I'd be the one yelling "Freebird," play "Freebird" in the audience. So, and then Lisa Bertinazzi, Miss Bertinazzi, one of my Italian teachers. Back in high school, she had me put together a few Pinocchio videos, and then when I got out of college, she had me come teach her how to edit videos so that she can teach her class and make those of what she does today. So it was just a lot of different stuff that had spawned, and I needed it. I kind of thought, hey, it'd be fun to put a name to it, instead of just Alex Stulak. I'm a 18-year-old having fun with it. Might as well call it something. So we started Imagine, Create, and Watch, and I had that and put it to side during college.
Now, you're growing up, you kind of like film, you like video. How did Milford High help you?
Let's get from the beginning. So when I first started, when I first got to high school, you had to go elective. And sophomore year, my guidance counselor sat me down. I was like, "Hey, Alex, you got to take an elective. You got to do something." It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Is a football an elective? Can I play football? And so I was already.
Cafeteria, isn't that an elective?
Yeah, I know, right? Recess and eating, all that good
Carla,
stuff.
save me.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, can I go get some Olivas? I'll work in the kitchen. But so I was like, hey, video production sounds cool because I've always liked movies, and I got my first camera when I was, in 6th grade, and I used to just mess around. And so I was like, all right, I'll learn how to make movies. And I had Adam Sasso, which was we had a great dynamic back and forth, and I just took video production 1, 2, and 3 throughout the years. Video production 2 was interesting. We Sasso, forgive me, I'm going to call him Sasso because that's what I do. But he goes, we're going to make a cool creative project. You guys can make a short film. It was me, Freddie Carpanetta, Kevin O'Loughlin, Frank Furlow, Mike Faragee, Brad Garber. And we were all in the class, and we were just like, all right, so what are we going to do? And we knew Kevin's dad was the chief. So we got to use the Milford Police Station. We used the cop cars. We used all the airsoft rifles. We made a short film called the Milford Police, and it was like, it started off as like cops, but it had a nice storyline to it. And we watch it to this day, and it's really funny, but it's surprisingly well made. We put sound effects in it, explosions, all this good stuff. It was we had the cop cars coming in, lights surrounding it.
Oh, Tom must have loved seeing his
Oh,
police cruisers and hearing explosions.
He's driving around the hill, up in Mill Pond, right, and where he lives, and he comes around this corner, and we had to do it like five or six times, and by the end of it, he's sitting there like, listen, I'm driving up and down the hill with the lights on, because the dog of the neighbor's chasing it the whole time, and you can see it
I'm
in the
glad
film.
that he's around the corner from me, so we didn't have to see the lights and the siren.
Oh yeah, no, it was pretty loud, and we were at the point where the neighbors are gonna think something's up, and they're ended up calling too. So, but no, that turned out well, and then we did. I did an internship with him too as well, independent study, and then I did video production 3, and it was just. I knew I needed to do something like that with college. I loved making movies. I loved everything about it. So I went to the University of Tampa as a film and media arts major, where I actually, when I got there, I was looking to, do something with film besides just being a film major. So I looked for the Film Society, and there was no Film Society there. So I started it. I revamped
Cool.
it. Yeah, I became
But now, you're in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, are you salivating over the equipment now in the studio versus what we had way back then?
It's interesting. So the stuff we had then, I was like, oh my God, yes, yes, yes. And I look back now, and compared to what we have right in the studio, it's like, that was nothing.
Yeah, when Paul Revere installed the Milford High studio, it was fine.
Yeah.
But it's gotten a little tired over the years.
It has. I've seen the new stuff now, and they moved upstairs in Milford High, and it's where we used to be in the old.
It's not down by the library anymore?
No, they moved it upstairs. So that green screen room and everything like that where we used to shoot, the computer lab, it's no longer there anymore. All those good memories, all those old memories are gone. So, but Milford. I'm going to circle back to Milford, because Milford, when I got out and started ICW, literally propelled me to where I am today. I would not be where I am if it wasn't for Milford, my start, and then the influence and support that this town has given me. We'll have to talk about the Olivas video that we did, because that was a huge, huge turning point in my company's career, I guess you would say. It's this town I owe a debt of gratitude to, because my mother's connections and the support, and my family's legacy here, everyone knew who I was, so they were willing to talk to me. Hey, I'm Regina Frabata's grandson. Can I sit down and tell you about my company? And it didn't happen right away, but it just started a trend, and everybody knew once video time came. Hey, Alex, you ready for a video? We're ready. So, Milford is my home, and I love
Now,
it.
the studio was there,
Yeah.
but obviously the equipment back then was old.
Mm-hmm.
Did that hold you back at all, or?
No, not at all. I mean, we improvised. We had a great time with it. So the studio we used there, we had some great equipment too. So it kind of worked in the dynamic. And you'll learn this in college too, and anyone out there that's aspiring filmmaker. You got to work within the budget you got to make a great video. So you have no excuses. Oh, I didn't have this camera, or I didn't have this one. You got to make what you have, and you make the best of it. If your camera is a little handy cam and you need better lighting, go get better lighting. Use your lamp from your room, your little basketball lamp. I mean, you got to get the shot and you got to get it right. There was one of my professors in college. We had to shoot a remake of The Third Man. And we had to shoot a graveyard scene. And he was like, "Listen, it's illegal, but you got to get the shot. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not telling you not to do it, but you got to get the shot." So.
I'm not telling you to do it, but get the shot.
Hey, that's how
Okay.
college professors are working. So I can't say we did get it. I can't say we didn't get it. It just, you got to get the shot.
You're not allowed to shoot in a cemetery?
It's not necessarily the most respectable thing in the world, but when you have to get the shot, you got to get the shot. So that was the point. We made do with what we had, and we made the best of it too. We had I'll tell you one other project we have, video production too. We had to do a TV show, similar to this one, a talk show. We call it The Cool Side of the Pillow. And we created this introduction of all of us. There's 5 of us in there. I think Michael Faragee was in there again too, Billy McFadden, a couple other guys. And we put together this spoof piece, kind of like what you have on yours, but it's all of us. And we pulled clips from Family Guy and everything like that to it. Things that you would never think that a high school kid could do at this point in time, back in 2009, 2010. We did it. We took clips of them. We found ways to make it happen and make it flush, make it look nice and professional. And it worked awesome. I mean, the show was called The Cool Side of the Pillow, and it has the last clip in Family Guy where Peter flips over the pillow, and it's Billy D. Williams. He goes, "All right, Peter, welcome to the cool side of the pillow." And it worked, and then it was a whole interview show. And, I mean, we are not very great interviewers, but it was awesome, and we made do, so.
Yeah, but it's like you go to the concerts at Milford High.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the plays. And if you want, you can nitpick it to death.
Sure.
How the lighting isn't perfect, that actress dropped a line. But when you look at it, I always laughed and said, if it's our kids, if it's my kids up there, my Milford kids, this is Broadway. I don't really care, about technical, you would.
Yeah.
Technical perfection.
Yeah.
But if it's one of the 4,200 kids in our school system,
Yeah.
well, this is better than Broadway.
If you see my mom's Facebook page, it's like I'm on Leno right now. But no. So in that case, I used to be someone like that too. You'd nitpick every little thing. You'd be meticulous about it. And sure, that's a good thing to do in the creative profession. But when you watch, you also need to take it with a grain of salt. You're watching a Milford production. That's fine. Enjoy the show that's up there. Okay, she drops a line. Did it still ruin the whole show?
Of course
No.
not.
No, it didn't. You know what I mean? So what? One of these lights doesn't work so well, and the side of my face,
Isn't equally lit.
exactly. But does that take away from the story?
No.
Because that's what my company's about. It's not video production. It's not photography. It's the story that we're telling. And is the story strong? Did it convey a message? Did it evoke emotion? Was it entertaining? That's what you should be focusing on. So if this Milford production, say Fiddler on the Roof or something like that, the story wasn't designed right. 10 minutes into it, I'm already it's a snooze fest. That's something you can criticize. The fact that you're criticizing that there's no lighting in a high school play, I think you might have too much time on your hands, is what I would say. Broadway, if you're paying $1,000 for a ticket, like Hamilton, all right, then yeah, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
On the other hand, if it's your daughter, your niece, your granddaughter up there, it's better than Hamilton.
Of course, and that's perspective, and that's framing, you know what I mean? Of course, I mean, you're looking at it, and it's something that you probably never see again. Like my mom watched my last football game, you know what I mean? Man, I was Tom Brady on the field probably, and I never played quarterback. But it's that, it's that power of the relationship between mother and son.
So now, some young kid,
Yeah.
freshman up at Milford High, says, I like movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to explore a film career. What would you tell him?
I'd tell him, Man, you got to do it. You got to do it. It's a lot of professions these days. It's a hit and miss kind of thing. My dad was an accountant. He told my cousin, don't pursue accounting because the game has changed. Going with film and creativity, the world belongs to designers these days. It always has and always does. And as a filmmaker, if you have the passion for it and you have a story to tell, man, go for it, man. I tell you, I've had a hell of a ride. I've worked on movies. I met Channing Tatum, Magic Mike. I've met, Keith David. I've worked with Matt Dillon, like we were talking about earlier. I've had a hell of a ride, and it is awesome. You get to be as creative as you want, and you can just tell the story you want to tell. I mean, it's
So first thing, I'm going into video 1.
Yeah.
What am I learning?
Video 1, you're learning how to use iMovie. It's basic software. That's how I taught. That's how I start teaching too. When I was teaching Miss Burton Ozzie, we start with iMovie. Start the basics. Learn how the linear and nonlinear editing. So learn how to upload footage to a computer.
Linear, nonlinear editing.
So back in the day, before you had like all this computer software, you had film, and then you had to actually cut it into a linear
The
format.
old 8mm, before you were born,
Exactly.
you had to
Like that camera that was right out
literally
there.
cut it and put the splice in, and
Oh yeah, and then you had to tape it up and make
Tape
sure,
it.
and then make sure it doesn't catch on fire because it's flammable, the whole 9 yards. Yep. So that's linear editing. Then you got nonlinear editing, which is digital. You can pretty much piece it wherever you want. You can shoot something, 10 minutes from now and place it 10 minutes before this. Not linear, but it's all in the digital format. So you got to learn how to, before you're telling the story, you got to learn how to make that story.
so I'm not even filming yet. I'm
No.
just learning how to edit and
Well,
play.
you are filming. So I have when I do teach it too. The first things first is I teach you how to go through and upload and everything like that. Second day, you're going to take a camera out and you're going to shoot 5 different things. I want you to shoot these things, and then we'll do like a Kuleshov effect where I want you to make a kind of a story now that you know how to upload it and move things around. But basically, take these 2-second clippets. Go film a car driving by, film a dog barking, and then put these things together into a small story.
Does anybody shoot film anymore?
Ben Affleck did in that Argo. He needed to match that you ever seen Argo? Yeah, so he wanted to match that kind of effect from the archival footage that he used, so he shot it on film.
Why can't I get the same effect digital?
But it's. I mean, you can, but artists. That's what I say.
So I learn first year how to upload, how to edit, how to make the story out of my film.
Sure. So yeah, by the end of the first year, or by the end of the first semester, in video production 1 as a freshman, you're going to learn how to make it. You're going to upload it. You're going to learn how to shoot. Probably basic camera skills. I don't know if the curriculum has changed, but this is what I learned. With Sasso, and just basically how to use iMovie, basic software. Because then when 2 comes along, that's when you're using the Final Cut, the industry standard software, the more in-depth stuff, the green screen, the chroma keys, the audio transitions, the audio effects, the splits, and everything like that, and the more in-depth stuff. So, but yeah, you're going to learn how to pretty much piece everything together so you understand how everything works. How can you add a soundtrack? It's basic stuff like that. How do you use transitions like a cross dissolve? You know what I mean? How do you, smooth transition from one to the next? When is it needed? Those kind of things.
Oh, I know the easiest way. I say, Liz, Daniel.
Call on your specialist, right?
Yeah, I got Liz and Daniel, and they laugh a lot, and then they somehow act like little movie gnomes and just shuffle things around, and all of a sudden it's all smooth.
There you go. Well, no, it's interesting. I had a client like that too. I just had a recent client that they spent a whole bunch of money on a video, and they went back to them and were like, hey, the original production company, can we crop this down? And they're like, yeah, for $9,000. I just paid you all this money for that. So what happened was, they came to me and, hey, can you help me out? And essentially I had to redesign the story, chop it up and everything like that and piece it together, figure out where to use transitions. It was like going back to VP1, obviously more complex and more in depth, but yeah, it was like what I had to use at VP1. It was flowing it together, making sure you hit the right clips, you cut it at the right spots, going frame by frame if you need to. Those little meticulous things to help you make a better film.
So now, by the end of video production 2,
Yep.
Little Alex knows how to edit. Final cut. Then what? How do I learn how to film it? I mean, I always think of garbage in, garbage out. And digitally, you can play in, how do I say it politely? You can use all the hamburger helper you want. You're not getting sirloin.
So you're worried about content now.
Well, I'm worried about content and the guy behind the camera.
So in video production too, you're also going to learn about, the more prosumer and consumer cameras, the two different categories, what are they, and how to use the more functions. You see like the focus and the manual focus and the white balancing and everything like that, how to adjust that stuff. But the content's going to come from you, your interests, your passions. The other courses you're taking surrounding this. You're getting the technical stuff in video production, but it's all about your knowledge. Like, I love to read. I read everything and anything. I took a variety of different classes in college when I went to UMass. And that helped build better
But before
content.
we go there, okay, so now I know how to edit.
Right.
Somebody hands me a camera.
Mm-hmm.
Now, explain to me, Lucy, about these cameras, because I see people like me who have the little bitty one for my grandson.
Sure.
And then you see, I mean, even the cameras now in the studio,
Yeah.
they're no longer those shoulder-busting monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see the people on real TV.
With the $500,000 cameras.
Is that what is $500,000?
Well, it all depends. The movies are more like $500,000. But
Those are those big monster. But,
right.
so where do you start? I mean, it seems like I can do a heck of a lot with my little handheld camera these days.
You can. It's interesting what you could do 10 years ago for the same price point. You can do half as cheap. So you can do a lot of that different stuff as long as you know how to use it. Like the white balancing I talked about, the focusing. The consumer camera, the category I like to cut it off as a consumer camera is usually a price range about $1,000, maybe $1,200 and below. It's also a fixed lens camera. That means there's no adjustable lensing. You can get the DSLRs, the Canons, the Rebels and stuff like that, and shoot it on that.
But now my camera, when my daughter's wedding came,
Yeah.
I was absolutely amazed that the videographer showed up with my Mark V, my Canon Mark V. Right?
Mark V's, man, that's yeah.
I mean, that's my toy.
Right.
And here's a professional shooting a wedding. I was amazed.
But that's the thing. They pack so much into it. Now, everyone goes out and buys the biggest, baddest camera, but doesn't know how to use it. You got to know how to play with the ISOs and play with the apertures and
Well, I mean, the
shutter
worst
speed.
thing is the white balance. Trying to explain to somebody,
That you don't want a yellow image.
why is it yellow? Why is it? They all look cold. Well, yes, you're getting that faded white blue because the
Point is
white.
you don't want that.
Right.
Yeah, and I get that. And either they need to learn to shoot it better or differently. I like to use or.
Or they use the little green box to get. What I tell people is, if you use the auto settings, guaranteed to get a mediocre, good picture.
Yeah.
But that's all you're going to get.
Unless you have Photoshop.
Well, okay.
So it all depends on how you want to shoot it, what you're trying to shoot it for, and again the emotion you're trying to evoke. But yes, to answer your question, the camera you have, was the Mark V. What is it, $1,200, $1,800, something like that, somewhere around there.
Now I think it is. Back then, when Chris Moran first, he called me and he said, "I can get one." And it was like $3,500 for the body because it was the first one in the area.
Yeah.
And then
Now they're the Mark II and III too.
I'm looking at the Mark VII. I'm starting to salivate over that. But I don't know what I would need a 48 meg picture for.
Megapixels, it all depends on a few things. How big you want to blow the picture up.
Well, that's my point. I mean, I don't think I've ever blown it up.
Megapixels can go into a variety of things. It's like, again, blowing it up, the clarity of it too as well. Another thing to look at too, a lot of people overlook is the points of autofocus. I think the Canon 80D, which is the one I like to run with, has like 45 points of autofocus.
Autofocus.
Yeah. It's so if you are just the average run of the mill, but you want a little better one, the autofocus on there is awesome.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and the Canon, I stand by Canon. Some people are Nikon, but it's how in depth do you want to go? Because these things, the more you pay for it, the more it can do. So to go back into that, you get the the basic video cameras, and then you have the DSLRs, which do great video too. There's a Panasonic GH5 coming out now. that's shooting like 4K and all this crazy stuff, and it's like $2,000, and it's a DSLR, but the video capability and it's surpassing its.
My problem isn't the body; it's the lenses.
Well,
When
you
I
gotta get
think
the
of what
L6,
I've got, my 200 millimeter 2.8,
Yeah.
and then I got the 400 millimeter. They're back then, $2,500 a lens.
Mm-hmm.
Besides sending Chris Moore into camp,
Yeah.
when you're buying all these lenses,
Oh yeah.
yeah. But once you get used to them, it's hard to go to a normal lens once you get used to these
Of
things.
course, it's like anything. It's like drinking good whiskey. I mean, once you try the Scotch, you try the Johnny Walker Blue Label, well, you're not going to go back to your
yeah.
Black Velvet. So it's, the cutoff point is I usually call about 1200 because the Mark V is definitely a prosumer camera in my opinion. The fact that you can interchange lenses is really the determining line. The fixed lenses really limit you. Especially with focus and all that kind of good stuff too, because you want the depth of field, the longer lens, so that you can really rack the focus. But then you can also get up to $20,000 cameras, the $50,000.
That's out of my darling bride would have my hide if I
my
went and
God.
spent that
But
much.
these things, I'll tell you, Al, the image quality on these, like the red cameras, are unbelievable, unbelievable. Not for picture taking, but for videos.
I was going to say, that we'll leave that for professionals like you.
Yeah.
I'll settle with my little camera. Of course, it's not so little, those damn lenses. Now, when I travel, I have to carry a backpack just to carry all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's. But you can see. Here's the thing too. Any good photographer or above average can take a Canon, a Rebel one, a $600 one.
The Rebel's amazing because when my camera got sick, the D60 I had, it was going away for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I felt naked, so I went out and bought a Rebel. It's like $500.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have
Amazing.
all the capabilities that you can do.
No, but
if you know how to use a camera, you can work your way around it.
I was just saying, on the manual settings, I was amazed at what I could get away with.
Oh yeah. I mean.
So now we look at the cameras in the studio.
Yep.
$5,000 a pop, something like that. When do I need to be that guy on Channel 7 News with the 300-pound monster?
When your bankroll can afford it. I mean, it all depends on what you're shooting. I mean, you're out in the field too, so you want to have some good. Mics, mic line-ins too. The XLR ports are a lot better than the 3.5 little millimeter.
No
head
mini
shooter.
DIN things.
Yeah, so and having two of them works a lot better. You can have wireless mics too, and those kind of capabilities that attach to it. Longer batteries. Without giving the whole spiel of how in depth those are. I mean, those are expensive cameras. But the news people don't use those big ones anymore. They've been compressed.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they're not the size of these ones. These ones, they're still probably the size of a football. We'll say that.
Wow, that's not bad.
No. I mean, and then
So-
what you can do is you add on pieces to it. They're interchangeable. So you can.
So then you hear about the camera you didn't want to stumble over for $500,000 in a movie set. What is that?
That, I believe they were shooting on a Panasonic. It was either Panasonic or a Fujifilm. It was a couple years ago, but yeah, it was the movie with Sunlight Jr. And like I was telling
So you were on set for that movie?
Yes, I was.
How
yeah.
cool is that?
It was awesome. I mean, I spent a month as an office production assistant, interning kind of, and I'm seeing all the casting, the cast coming in, and I'm printing off scripts and kind of getting the coffee, and all that kind of good stuff. And then I'm finally, hey, Alex, you want to come on set? And we get on set, and it's like, this is movie magic. All the paperwork, all the,
All the work you've done to set it up, now you get to experience it.
Yep. And, they shot all of like 5 seconds of the film, but, in a whole 12-hour shoot. We're on set at 4 a.m., but it was totally worth it. The food was great. It was, I got to meet the stars, hang out with them too a little bit. They're all friendly, walk around the set. There's like 50 or 60 people running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
All for 5 seconds of film.
Here's how it starts. About 7 o'clock, bell whistles, the director walks out, gets in the tent. All right, let's rock and roll. And the dolly track, the camera starts to move about 20 feet. Well, and Matt Dillon's playing a paraplegic in this, so he's rolling it. They shoot it this way. All right, shoot it again. They're 10, 15 shots in. of the same shot. And now, all right, let's do it the other way. I want to have the camera go this way while he stirs this way, and to see it, what works better. To do about 15 of those. Now it's lunchtime. Because this camera is so big and it takes a whole crew of people that every time they reset it, they have to rework it, reset all the settings and everything like that. Back to stage one, you know what I mean? And then Matt's tired. Matt wants to go take a break or something like that. It's Florida weather. It was like 110 degrees. And then that was the establishing shot. And then we're moving into the bar. But it was still like 110 degrees where the DP, the director of photography, would go into they had like a cool cooling tent to let him go cool off because he wasn't used to this heat.
A cooling tent?
Yeah, he had flown in from somewhere in Europe, and he wasn't used to all this Florida heat. And he goes into this cooling tent.
But I take it the crew doesn't get the cooling tent.
No, the crew did not get the cooling tent. The crew did not. The crew got a tent, to get out of the shade, but that's about it. So, but no, they treated us well. I'll give them that. And but no, it was awesome to see how intricate these things are and the vision of it. I have yet to watch the movie. But I appeared on the front page of the St. Pete Times, I believe. I was outside the bar, being a production assistant as I was, and there I am in front of with another kid I was interning with, and you just see me, and the news cameras had gone by and took a picture of us.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So you get out of high school.
Yep.
And you decide, okay, I want to continue my film career. Would you say Milford High prepared you well?
I think what I learned from video production with Sasso's class, the creativity, the fun that you could have with it, inspired me to pursue it.
So you're walking out, you know nothing.
Right.
Just like any high school kid who thinks they know everything. But
yeah.
you know nothing, but you've got the passion
Right.
that was instilled to say, I want to do more.
Correct.
Okay, so now you go to your mother and say, Mom, I want you to pay $60,000 a year for me to go watch movies.
That's essentially what it was. Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a great dinner.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great dinner conversation.
Oh, it was not. Yeah, but I mean, I decided to transfer after 2 years. So, the in-state tuition at UMass was a little more inexpensive than that one, and
It's a mere 20,000 or 25. Yeah,
I got a better education there. So that's the big point. I learned a lot of my production, skills at Tampa. I was a film and media arts major, but what I learned at UMass was the content we were going into. I learned the basics with
So you went to Florida first.
Right.
How'd you pick Florida?
Florida. I mean, I spent 18 years in the snow. I mean, the first school that's, from Florida that accepted me, I was in there.
That was my oldest, Alexis, when she first started looking at schools.
Yeah.
College of Pluto, University of Mars. How far could she get away from Milford?
Yeah.
And then slowly made it back.
Yeah. I looked at San Diego State, too. That was even farther.
That's a cool campus, though.
I know. I love San Diego.
That's a cool campus. Okay, so you go down to Florida.
Yeah.
And you're a what major?
Film and media arts.
Film and media arts.
Film and fancy term for communications.
I was going to say, so now you really have to convince your mother that you're doing more than just watching movies.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, my first thing was to go to RISD. And then I was like, oh, that's a little much. I don't know if I'm that good enough to go to RISD. Then I thought about, hey, let's go to the, the New York Film Academy, or there was one other school down there, but they weren't an accredited university, they were a film school. And it was like, my mom was like, well, you need to get at least a degree somewhere, you know what I mean? So yeah, University of Tampa is where you're going. You can learn film while you're there, at least you're getting a degree that you can use when
At
you
least
get
you
out.
walk out with a bachelor's.
Exactly.
So when you grow up and you actually go make a living doing something, you got a bachelor's.
Yes, exactly. So that's my mom's mindset. She was just like, nope, we need an actual degree from you.
I'm paying $100,000. You're getting some kind of degree.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it was good, but I started taking more in-depth classes and realizing that I wanted to focus on screenwriting and directing. But at the time, I owe a lot to my mother too. I'll give her that, and she's gonna, love me when I get home for saying that too. But Bose was also I worked for Bose in the retail stores and everything like that, and there's a big part of Bose that helped propel me to where I got to too as well, because they helped fine-tune my passion for marketing and help bring this whole thing together. Milford helped with the film and the passion, but Bose really, when I started the stores down there, it just...
But now you're changing, because at this point, you've learned how to make a movie, how to edit a movie. Now you're talking about screenwriting.
Yep.
Feels like a whole different animal.
It does, and it's literally, so it's when you tell it, it's very hard because it comes at you from different avenues, but it all comes together in one point. It's like Memento. You ever seen Memento with Guy Ritchie?
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I don't know what's going on here, but then it all comes together to one.
Yeah, it seems
one
all
facet.
disjointed, then all of a sudden, oh, hello.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. But you got to understand what the journey went through to realize how I got to these different emphasis within my company. The story structure, the marketing, the video production, and the quality of quality we go about it, and the process and the pitch. You know, I worked up at the interned at Bose in the marketing department too. Got the marketing knowledge too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, I worked on the NFL campaign, and we actually worked on a video there too as well. It was an intro video for Deezer. It's a Spotify equivalent. And what they did was when they launched their SoundTouch, their wireless speakers, they teamed up with Deezer to pair it up together, and I was part of that video creation. So we're sitting there in the room, and you know, one of the funny stories was they have this scene that they put together, and it's like all these apps coming around the world, and it's like explaining the world like an app, you know, applications rule the world. And they're like, well, and then Deezer comes in, the logo, and I was like, well, it's cool, but where's the emphasis? Where's the, you know, the power, the passion? You need something like 2001 Space Odyssey, like the bay doors are open and this is like something new and exciting. And they're like, I like that. They tried to get the rights for it, didn't work out well, but you know, it was an interesting thing. The creativity and the fun with that really would push them to get the right soundtrack for that. And that's.
Well, you know, you think back, you know, an old man named George Lucas when he first started out and couldn't get his concept accepted by anybody.
Right.
So he went out and did it himself. And he didn't do too bad with industrial light and design.
No, Steve Jobs had to come right in, swoop it up. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like where I am right now, and when I graduated UMass, there's almost about a year gap of that. This thing was all over the place. I mean, we are at the point now where we know exactly where we are, what we're doing, and everything's rocking and rolling. But for the first 9 months.
So when you graduate college,
yep.
And you're looking at your mother saying, okay, I watched a lot of movies.
Yep.
Okay, and she's saying, you did get a degree.
I did get a degree.
And yes, I did. Okay,
Yep.
check.
Oh, yeah.
But now she says, now what are you going to do with said degree?
Yeah. How are you going to pay the bills?
Yeah. All of a sudden,
Cashing checks, breaking necks, right?
wait a minute, you're supposed to now be on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's a concept that my offspring will never understand, but that's okay.
Hey, you know what? We're Italian, right? So.
So now you turn around and you say, okay, I'm graduating.
Right.
I would like to have a career. I've studied for 4 years. Where do you go?
I started a company. That's what I did. I had worked, like I said, I had worked at Bose with the internship. I had worked in retail. I had worked, you know, I had worked on movie sets. I didn't want to go to LA right away. It was like so. There was a social norm. Everyone goes to LA.
If you're in the film industry, you have to go to LA.
Yeah.
Except for Massachusetts and a couple places that give you tax breaks. But
Oh, where are we?
here you go.
Okay.
But I mean, essentially, LA is the mecca.
Sure. But my view, and again, going back to my stubbornness, is always do it different. I like to do it different. And, you know, it doesn't work right away. It didn't work right away. Like I said, I was getting calls for, you know, I was getting calls, but real estate footage, real estate photography, sports game footage. What other interesting things that I've shot? You know, there was advertising videos, which is what we were doing. But it just was like all over the place, you know what I mean? I had to pay the bill somehow. And I had to go with it, but I needed to rebrand eventually. I wasn't necessarily happy with what I was doing. I had a cool ride, you know, filming the basketball footage. There's always optimism within.
Sure.
But it wasn't what I wanted to do.
But you're getting some money to actually be able to eat and
That's
pay
true.
the electricity.
Right. So I rebranded and took another job. So I stopped doing all those projects and I started pursuing what I really wanted to do. I stepped back, designed a whole new website for my company, did all this new stuff. So like the website we had before, compared to now, is nothing like it. I started doing what they call passion projects too for the company, and really pushing towards advertising. I fine-tuned everything. I read a lot of books. I asked a lot of people. I met with a lot of people, and really had to get down on paper what exactly we are and what we do.
Well, you go into a company and you're saying, I'd like to get $10,000, $20,000 from you. And they'll say, what do you do?
Yeah. Al, if I came to you and said, "Can I get $10,000, $20,000 from you?" You think you'd give it to me? No. See, that's the thing. I had to, for a while, for the lack of a better term, fake it till you make it. You know, but like you said, yeah, you got to pay the bill somehow. So I did get the other job, so that I didn't have to take those. And what was happening was people were knowing me as a real estate photographer, or as a guy. I was meeting a lot of people at games, and they were like, "Oh, so can you come shoot my son doing this and my son doing that?" And it's like, I'm gonna say no. I mean, this is fun.
No, I mean,
but
it's Milford. They're related to somebody I know, or
exactly.
they've helped me out. But
I saw my life 5 years down the road, and I'm known as a videographer for sports game footage, or I'm known as the town real estate.
and can you make a living at that?
Sure, but it's not about making a living. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about doing what you love. That's why I started ICW Productions. It's for the fun. It's for
So ICW,
right.
what does it do?
So we're a content developer. We tell your story.
Okay, now in English.
We tell stories. We're professional storytellers. That's what we do. Your company will use Olivas. Did you see the Olivas holiday video? Yeah, so that one actually propelled us. It was a great one. But the whole emphasis of the gift shop idea is that it's trying to keep up with Italian traditions. There's a story attached to that. And that's what we do. We just come in and we tell the story of this specific thing, why it started, why you were there, why are you different than everybody else? Why should I go to Olivas and shop at that gift shop instead of go to TJ Maxx or Walmart or any other mall? You know what I mean? Why should I come to Olivas?
So I can get porchetta while I'm there.
Okay. Yeah, and you know that's you know, it's awesome, but it's the story is so overlooked in marketing. It's a huge asset of marketing that is so overlooked in small businesses these days, and that I really focused on. I mean, I've seen so many professionally made videos that just, you know, you spend thousands of dollars on. The story just doesn't make sense.
Well, the problem I have with a lot of that is it's what I call perfect empty video. Technically, it's gorgeous.
Yep.
Everything's beautiful. But it's, you know when they say empty calories?
Yep.
It leaves me hungry. Like, okay, and what was that about? You know, what are you trying to explain to me? Because I'm not getting it. I'm seeing pretty pictures, I'm seeing pretty effects, but,
Right.
and I think a lot of it is the George Lucas effect that people want bigger and greater effects. But, you know, some of the stuff, I remember one of the videos that I never will forget is when they showed the father looking at the daughter in the, I think it was a Subaru, and they show her when, I mean, she's 8 years old behind the wheel, and as he's talking to her, they change it, and all of a sudden she's like 16, and it's her first time going away in the car. Boy, what a moment. That just grabbed every father that had to stand back and watch his daughter drive away for the first time. There wasn't a lot of special effects or anything. But boy, if you were trying to sell me that Subaru is a family car,
The message was clear. The story was there, right?
the story was absolutely powerful.
And you know, doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be a Hollywood motion picture with, you know, like you said, with all that kind of stuff. It just, the story just needs to grab you. It needs to invoke emotion, and it needs to. The biggest thing of it all, it needs to entertain you. You know, there's so much video out there these days too. Is that video is so readily accessible, but you posting everything all over the place. What you got to capture the eye of the audience. You know what I mean? And you have, so we usually do about 2 to 3 minute videos, so, you know, or a 30-second commercial. You have about 7 seconds to capture someone's attention, then they're gone.
Well, it's like on the website, when I see these people putting up video clips of 5 minutes, I laugh. Because if you ever really do the analytics, after about 45 seconds, after a minute,
Oh yeah.
people just aren't really going to watch things that are minutes and minutes long.
Well, so that's another thing that I did when I was rebranding is I found I designed videos, and there's not an original concept of mine, but these videos work in specific places. So we designed one with the Middlesex Magic. It's a 6-minute video. Yeah, so it's the same length as what you're talking about. But the analytics are actually, most of them are watching it through. Reason being, we put an NBA player in it. So we put him farther towards the end.
So
we
they're waiting
promoted-
for him.
Exactly. We're promoting it to the point where we want to see the NBA player talk. Okay, great. So you have to watch this through a little bit to get there. But we also designed it in a way of like a ESPN 30 for 30. It was an emotional journey, what this team does, but how it was founded and all that.
So how do you start? I have a company, and I want to do a video.
Yep.
What happens next?
Okay. So I wanted to ask you what you want to get out of this video. What's your intent of the video? What's your intent with my daughter?
Yes. Very good. That actually puts it all in
There
perspective.
you go. Right. And no, it's exactly what it is. What's your intent? What do you want to get out of this? Do you want more customers? Do you want to inform people? Do you want to inform your staff internally? Do you want to, do you want to educate? Are these going to be reused? What's the longevity of it? Are we gonna, is it supposed to be like the Levas one? That was just for holiday. It can't be. It's a Christmas video.
Right.
You're not gonna play in July. I mean, you could, but I wouldn't.
It seems strange.
Yeah, exactly. So it's those are all the factors. That's where we start. What do you want out of it, and where do you plan on using it? Is it on web? Is it on TV? Is it going to be local access? Is it going to be worldwide? These are things we have to. Okay, now that we know that, we know the audience that we can connect to, and we start to develop the story.
Now, you talked about 5 seconds of Matt Damon's movie taking 12 hours. How long does it take you to put together a 2-minute corporate video?
Let's see. So, from filming or from the whole conception?
Go.
All right. Sign the contract. Day one, we sign the contract. Usually, we're going to design about 3 weeks before we film. That's when we get all the T's crossed, I's dotted, questions.
Oh, your storyboard set up.
If we're going to storyboard it, if we're going to do questions and testimonials and stuff like that, and then we shoot. It's probably about 12-hour shoot either day. It's not a 3-month shoot.
So you're working for 2-3 weeks setting it up, and then you've got one long day worth of video.
Right. And then we edit. So what happens when we edit, usually, as long as it's one video, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, we'll start with the 2-minute video. We'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks to edit it. I come to you with a copy of it. Al, this is what it looks like so far. What I want you to focus on is X, Y, and Z when we're doing it. And you look at those, and you watch the video, and you go, all right, well, I like this part, but I don't like this part, and this needs to go, or we need to add this. Do we have this in our arsenal? And then we collaborate and we critique. You ask me, well, why'd you put that there? Or I ask you, did you really feel you need that there? Is there something we missed in this? And then, we go back and we iron it out. Usually, one more time I'll come at it, you go, yeah, one more thing, this and that, and then we're good to go. It's usually about 3 meetings afterwards. So that takes about, after filming, somewhere around 5 weeks at the point of delivery.
Holy moly. In a way, that seems quick, but seems like a lot of time.
It is, but it's also, working on numerous projects at one time, too, as well.
It's 5 linear weeks. It's not 5 people weeks.
Right, exactly. It's not 5 40-hour weeks. You know what I mean? Could I knock out the video as long as everyone had the availability? Sure, I could knock it out in a 40 or 80-hour week if I worked, right through, but we just don't have that luxury. Plus...
Well, you never get people, it's like everything we do on a brochure.
Right.
Just getting everybody to put the time in and go through the different iterations just takes a lot longer than it ever should.
Right. But, that's what I learned at Bose, too, is you got to go through so many different people's, I worked on the Mexico catalog when I was in marketing. Put together this Mexico catalog, and then you just send it to marketing communications to translate.
What's that? Mexico? Big wall? No.
No, it's a catalog for Mexico of the products, It's, there's, the South American markets, the emerging markets down there. So it was a short catalog. These are the products we want in there. Put together the assets, put together the text, send it off to Marcom to translate it. Okay, so it's translated. Oh, it comes back to us. Oh, hey, one of these, we need an S at the end of this. 3 weeks later, S is finally fixed. 3 weeks to add an S. It didn't go to print or anything like that, but it has to go through, Joe, then
Right.
Larry,
And he's traveling, and
yeah.
this one.
That's the problem. It's chasing everybody down. You know what I mean?
So now how big's the company?
Well, I'm just the producer. I'm a producer, and I have subcontractors. Depending on the project I go with, I have a variety of people in my
More, I
arsenal.
guess, how big would a normal project be when you think of all the people you got to bring in to film, to edit, to do the whole?
It all depends on what people order from me. You know what I mean? I have this, I have one where we're ordering 2 videos right now. So I have the cinematographer coming out, and then I'll probably do the editing for the sake of, their budget. But then there was another client that I had that we had a soundtrack guy that I have in LA. He designs jingles for Dunkin' Donuts. They'll come out, he'll design the jingle for it. We have to do a whole project plan for it. I had a motion graphics guy, an actual editor doing that too.
A motion, and what is that?
Motion graphics is really cool stuff. So that's like, how do I want to explain it? It's the movement of text and images in synchronization. So it's called Adobe After Effects is what we use. And I'm trying to think of something you might see it in. I mean, you can literally do anything. You can create a planet.
This guy literally, or a gal, just works on how you move the characters around.
Right. Well, so at the end of any commercial, you see like the Arby's logo,
Right.
like the text and everything like that, the movement of images and the logo. That's motion graphics.
Somebody specializes just in that.
Big bucks.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. It's not easy. I mean, I can do basic stuff with it too, and but I mean, it's big bucks. A specialization. What you can do with After Effects is huge.
Now I know why it costs so much.
And the beautiful thing about it is that during this rebranding period, I looked at a variety of different companies and saw what they were charging, a variety of different photographers, what they're charging, and everything like that, and similar to what I was doing. And my prices now are not the highest, they're not the lowest, but it doesn't matter to me because what we're doing is selling the story, and I love what I do. And I think that's why people keep coming to me. So it's not, it's not the most expensive one out there. It doesn't need to be. It's not I'm not in it to get
But now, how do
$1
you?
million.
You're in Milford.
Yeah.
Not what a lot of people would think of as the center of the film industry. How do you get the word out that says, "Hey, I'm Alex. Come talk to me"?
Well, this is one way. Hey, I'm Alex. Can talk to me.
Yeah, there's 6 people watching. Oh, you're with your mother, 7.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all about networking and marketing. I meet every Tuesday with the B&I group. It's a networking group. I meet every Tuesday at 7 a.m. in Ashland. Talk with them. I've made some great connections there. And literally, I'll message people. Hey, can we sit down and talk? I want to ask you questions about this and that. And or I'll walk into a business and Tom Oliveri, the one that owns Prezzo's. I walked in there one day and was like, hey, this is back when I first started. Hey, I'm starting a company. Can I do some work, video or photo work for you? And he let me do some photos for his new restaurant in Westboro. It's all about networking. That's how I do it. I just, Milford Legion too. I owe a lot to my mother too. She has, pushed a lot for me. She told everybody about it. I told everybody about it, and everybody that was, willing to talk to me, I sat down with. I bought him a cup of coffee, and we went from there. I was just telling them what I could do, and I told them my story like I'm telling you now, and they saw a value in it. That's why Gina called. Gina was one of the first people I sat down with when I first started, right when I got out of UMass, and then she called me late November, of obviously last year, and was like, hey, I want to do a holiday video. I've never done it before. What can we do? I don't have a huge budget. And I'm, first thing is she goes, well, I want to do a holiday video for the gift shop. And I love Christmas, so my first thought is I'm gonna put Santa and some reindeers and I'm gonna play Jingle Bells. It's gonna be all good. But that one, the beautiful thing about Olivas was not only the connection to Milford, and I'd gone to Olivas since I was born, but it got about 25,000 views on Facebook alone. I mean, I had messages blowing up my email. Hey,
Really?
oh yeah. Hey, can we make a video for this one and this one too? And can you do a video for me for this? Everybody saw the video. I walked into a client and I was like, oh, so what videos have you done? Did you see the Oliva's holiday video? Yeah, the one with she's in the gift shop. That was mine. I owe a lot. I owe a lot to Gina. And I'm glad she chose me to make that video, and I hope she's happy for it if she's watching right now.
So if I'm going to go do a video, what do I have to worry about so I don't blow up the cost?
Okay, so you got to think of it like as a marketer. Okay, so $5,000 sounds like an expensive expense. But if it makes you $10,000,
Well, yeah.
you know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing. I used to meet with one of the founders of Bose, Sherwin, and he used to mentor me. And the one thing that I took away from everything that he said was, Alex, if you don't have a solutions for for what you're selling, it doesn't do anyone any good. They don't know what to do with this video, then what's going to happen? So I've teamed up with a few social media people that help optimize your social media, your SEO, all your web presence. So they can take the video, it's an additional package, solutions package at the end, to make sure your video gets the views you need and make sure it shows exposure. And what we do is we share it in all these different groups too. It's like a community help. You know, I go out, hey, can you share this video for me? And I tell them, hey, find 10 friends that'll share it for you. And then once, it's a theory of social proof. You know, once 10 people share it, another 10 people, you know, a couple other people share it.
Yeah, the pyramid just gets bigger and bigger.
And then you also have the woman that does the social media optimizing it in the back end. I mean,
To do your search engine the little spiders.
exactly. That's how you get the best use of it. But it's getting into the front of the eyes of people. You know, people ask me about TV all the time. You know, TV's great, but how many times a day do you check your Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, when you start seeing what people budget for some of these videos, it's frightening.
It is. It all depends on what you want to get out of it, though, and kind of reputation you want. You know what I mean? Do you want Miramax or do you want Paramount Studios doing it, or do you want ICW Productions doing it?
I want Miramax doing it at ICW price.
Yes, yes. So that's the beautiful thing about it, is that my mindset is still in that, I wouldn't say it's in the college zone, but it understands how to get things done within the college budget, of which we didn't have multi-million dollars at the college level, but we still had to make great videos, otherwise we fail. So you gotta look at it that way too. It's that this guy knows how to do it on a budget, and does it right, and does it professional, and knows what he's doing. You know,
So where do I go if I want to see some of the work you've done?
you go to icwproductions.com. You can go to our video production portfolio or the photography portfolio. You see everything we've done. You can also see our special projects page. Those are like portrait pictures that we've done, that just fun pictures that we had put together, tell different stories of the capabilities we've done with other people around Milford. So,
And then they just contact you and say, this is what I want.
well, there's a contact page. I mean, people have contacted me in a variety of different ways. Obviously, people that have known me, they have my card, contact me there. They, the BNI, the networking group, they'll contact me through there, contact me through the website, or Facebook, or just, you know, honestly, they'll see me in the street. Just, hey, are you the ICW guy?
This is great.
Oh, no, I was at the Pins the other night, and one of the guys that works there, Steve, you know, I'm not Facebook friends with him or anything like that, and I was in the Milford Daily News for the business portfolio page, and he's like, I saw your article, I loved it, man, that was awesome. And then it has the contact information there too.
Well, it's always surprising when people say that Milford kids aren't prepared for the real world, prepared for an education. As you can see, if you follow your passion, if your heart is in it, and you have a strong mother
Yes.
pushing you, nothing can get in your way. You know, and it makes me feel good to see a Milford kid who's done well and who continues to do well. And we hope someday will be the next George Lucas or whatever and really blow the top off everything. So good luck. And to our 6 loyal viewers, plus Stulak Mom, may God bless. May tomorrow be a better night than tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.